Before we begin, 3 messages. What mobile platform do companies like eBay, NBC Universal, the Los Angeles Times, Razorfish, and PayPal use to build their cross-platform native applications? Titanium by Appcelerator. They aren't alone. There are now over 25,000 apps deployed by Appcelerator, which has been called the Rosetta Stone of app development. And you can start now for free. Just go to www.appcelerator.com for more information. So, you've taken some of the advice that has come from Untether.tv guests, built an app, and now you're turning your attention to generating some hard-earned revenue. Then you should be looking at Pontiflex App Leads. Some of your peers who are using App Leads are earning CPMs 100 times the industry average. And if you need any other reasons to start, I'll give you 2 more. You can run sign-up ads from top brands, the ones that you recognize, and it won't take your precious users out of your app. Go to appleads.com, that's APPLEADS.com, to sign up. When my company needed to develop a key mobile product, one that I was counting on as a new source of revenue, I knew exactly who to turn to. Macadamian. They delivered on time with incredible attention to detail, and I was able to get product into customers' hands faster than I ever thought possible. I've personally known them for 10 years, and they do make great products even better. Check them out at www.macadamian.com. Hello everybody, welcome to Untether.tv. This is the place we have casual conversations with mobile rock stars. What if I told you that I had somebody who is from California, in the heart of all of this activity in the mobile space, who has, I'm just going to rhyme off some of the press that these guys have had for now. It's Business Insider, top 25 hot New York City startups, although you're in California. Mashable calls this a genius idea. My good friends over at GigaOM says that the whole system is designed to be easy for merchants. They like the approach because it's merchant focused, trying to solve a pain point for merchants. This is the company I'm talking about is ThinkNear. And I have Eli Portnoy, who is the CEO and founder of the company, on with us. Eli, I've probably done it a little bit of justification, but really you guys have 3 goals in mind, right? You're trying to help merchants who are basically whose store is empty during a period of time during the day, and you want to drive traffic to those stores. Is that about right?
Yeah, definitely. So we think local merchants should really base off their marketing decisions based on their capacity. So just like the airlines, if they send out a plane, if they fly a plane with 10 customers or 100 customers, they pretty much are paying the same costs, and therefore they're discriminating how much, and they're changing the prices in real time to make sure that they do fill up that plane. We think small businesses should be using the exact same principles, and it's called yield management. And so what we're trying to do is bring these concepts to local businesses, but in a way that's really, really easy and simple for them, so that they can actually start taking advantage of these really sophisticated tools to grow their business and optimize their business.
Well, I mean, that's such a great thing, because you probably don't want to talk about yield management to a merchant who just wants to, I mean, it's what it means, but you want to bring them into the store at the time that they have very few patrons in it. But Eli, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing the story of ThinkNear. Really appreciate you doing this.
No, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, so go back a little bit in time. My opening is, we talk about yield management. We talk about the reasons why somebody would use your services. But really, do you guys have that pitch, that 30-second pitch, the elevator pitch about what you guys do?
Yeah, we help local businesses find customers when they need them, and that means that we help them figure out when to use a discount, how much to discount, and where to place that discount in order to drive the right number of customers at the right number of time, at the right time.
Okay, when, how much? So you said you help them when to discount, how much to discount, and what to discount?
And where to place the discount.
And where to place it. We're going to come back to that, because it's, well, actually, let's talk about this right now. How do you guys do that? How do you decide when to discount, what to discount, or how much to discount, and then where to place it?
Yeah, so it all comes back to what I said earlier, that we're really keying off marketing decisions based on how much capacity they have. So the first step is we predict, using all sorts of different fancy algorithms and macro level data, we predict how busy or slow a merchant is. And so as an example, we know that rain severely affects how well a business is doing. So if you're a restaurant, if it's raining, less people go, and that's a generalization, but
Yep.
we'll use it as an example. And so we're looking at these businesses in real time and figuring out, hey, you know what? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's rainy. This is a really slow time. That means we need to push out a very aggressive discount. And that's how we figure out when they should discount and how much they should discount, because we're actually looking at what discounts are resonating with consumers under what conditions. And so we know, hey, 3 o'clock rainy, not only do they need to push out a discount, but it's got to be at least a 40% discount. And then we figure out where to put it, because we've got integrations with a bunch of mobile ad networks and a bunch of apps, location-aware apps that are pulling our deals and surfacing them to their consumers. So we've got a bunch of channels we can play with, and we figure out which ones to send it to just based on cost effectiveness and just the effectiveness of conversion.
So, I mean, obviously, this is a big challenge, because this is like a multi-plane challenge, obviously, because you're taking into consideration everything into the decision about what to discount and how much to discount, and then how to push this out to the consumers. I mean, this is obviously a problem. Why attack it? Like, it just seems so big, because it's not just one idea. It's not just stamp, I'm here, get a discount. It's, listen, you got an empty store. We can guarantee that we can bring people into those stores because we know the triggers that are going to walk them in, and we know how to reach them. Why get into that business?
Yeah, because it just, everything that's happened in the local space has been about 20th century technologies. It's about taking dumb marketing tools and just driving customers. And so when we look at that, we say, we just said to ourselves that, it's not just about driving customers. It's about being smart about when you send those customers in. And so that to us was the inspiration. It was about optimizing business. It was about taking these tools that pretty much every large company is using and using to basically knock off every small business and tear them apart. And we said, we're going to take those principles. They're not that complicated. They're not that hard. We're going to package them in a way that actually makes sense for businesses, and we're going to give it to them, and we're going to make them accessible. And so, it is super complicated, but it's all complicated under the hood. For the merchants, the really nice thing about what we're doing is not only are they getting access to these really sophisticated tools, but using them is actually even easier than using the stuff they're using now, because essentially what we're doing is we're automating the entire process of marketing. We're answering all of the tough questions that they were answering themselves, and we're doing them at an optimized level. So if you think about a merchant right now, they're figuring out, hey, I'm going to run an ad on the directory. I'm going to figure out when to put together a Groupon. I'm going to figure out when I'm going to use these 10 different mobile sites to create coupons, and that's a lot of work. And if they sign up with us, all they need to do is sign up once. It takes less than 5 minutes, and under the hood, we're doing all this complex mathematics to figure out and answer all those questions for them. So it not only optimizes their business, but it just makes it a lot easier to run their business.
How important, obviously, because you guys are going to go in there and you're selling to the merchants, right? How important is it to make sure that whatever you're offering is a simple alternative to something that's very complex that they're doing today?
Yeah, I mean, simplicity is sort of the barrier to entry. It's like the ticket to play. If it's not simple, if it's not really easy, it doesn't matter how great the solution is, it just won't get any traction. So we started with the lowest common denominator, thinking who is the absolute least likeliest business and business owner or manager to use our solution, and how do we create a system that actually works for them. And to sign up for a product, it really comes down to a single piece of paper, literally paper, not even a computer, that a merchant can go and sign in and give us, it's about 10 pieces of information, and that's all we need. Everything else we can pull online, we can get from other data sources. So it really is easy.
And I mean, when you're out there selling this, is that a big concern from the merchant standpoint? Because there's so much technology that is being sold for the sake of technology. I hear a lot of retailers who are saying, listen, it's much more like a technology first kind of focus. I need to use Foursquare, right? I don't care what it does, but I hear about it. I got to put this stamp up that says check in with Foursquare. Now I got to do something around it. So a lot of people are selling a lot of things around. I mean, sometimes it's snake oil, sometimes it's valuable. How was the challenge? Was it, I mean, going in there and trying to convince a retailer that you could help them during their slow periods? Was that hard?
It's exceptionally hard. It's hard. I mean, so everyone I spoke to while I was thinking about starting this business told me that is a really tough challenge, and no one prepared me for how tough a challenge it is, because I mean, not only are you talking about a really fragmented and very unsophisticated demographic, but you're also talking one that is completely saturated by technology companies that are selling them, like you said, technology first solutions. So they're getting 10 to 15 calls a week from guys who are basically selling them coupon solutions and discount solutions and all these different things. And they've signed up for a few, and none of them have worked. And ultimately, if they don't work, then it doesn't matter what the technology does. It's meaningless. And so rising above that noise has been an exceptional challenge. And we do a lot of things to rise above it. The first thing is we start with a free 3-month trial, so there's absolutely no risk to using us, and that's not enough, because I mean you have to. No one is going to pay right now for anything right off the bat. And then the second thing we do is we make sure to very clearly articulate that there is absolutely no commitment. This is a month-to-month solution. There's no contract. We fortunately have a lot of backers that we can point to and give legitimacy to what we do. Testimonials, other merchants that are using us. There are things you can do, but number one is it has to work. And this is a very saturated market. And I think it'll start as soon as sort of the hype around Groupon and Living Social and some of these other solutions and the fast growth sort of loses a little bit of steam. You'll see a lot of players leave the market, and hopefully it'll be a little bit easier to penetrate this market. But yeah, it's a fun challenge.
It's a fun challenge. Well, I mean, only an entrepreneur could look at this and say this is a fun challenge, because it is just that. And I don't think that you're. I think you're not giving us as many details about the real pain. I mean, the challenge is there, but these merchants have a razor thin margin also. So the idea that you just said is that no one is willing to pay for this right off the bat, right? So you do a 3-month trial to prove to them that there's value, that you can actually do what you say you're going to do. Is that the idea behind the business model?
Well, yeah, it's not just that no one will pay for what we're doing up front. No one will pay for anything up front, because they've been burnt so many times. And so it really comes down to, instead of having a conversation where I'm trying to convince them, I try to have conversations where I prove to them that it works. And the way you prove it is by giving them a very easy way to sign up and then see the value. And the very fact that we do that actually makes that conversation easier, because the solutions that don't work can't give a free trial.
So how long have you guys been around?
So at the conceptual level, we've been around since June of last year. That's when we first started, really digging deep into the yield management concept and trying to understand how we could package it for local businesses. Yep. We started coding back in November of last year.
So November of last year. And when did you kind of come out? When did you launch? January timeframe?
No, so we've had a beta period going for a bit, but we actually officially launched this past July 26th, so about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, wow, nice.
Yeah,
this is perfect timing then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you walk through this process, I mean, you go in with a set of expectations about how this product is going to work. When you started, noodling with the idea last summer, you start coding in November. How much has changed since those days? Like when you talked about yield management, it's so logical. I got extra seats on a plane, fill them, right? Having a dead seat it's better to have somebody pay for something so that you can pick up a little bit of extra revenue. Same thing if there's an empty seat in a movie theater, yield management. Same thing if there's an empty seat in a restaurant, yield management. So you had that concept for retail. What's different from when you started to what you launched 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, so when we first started, we thought we were actually going to give merchants a really simple console that would basically let them go, hey, I'm slow right now, give me X number of customers. And we would tell them what discount to use. And that's sort of the mistake pretty much everyone who enters this space makes. And that's, if we have a really cool solution, people will change their workflow around, and they'll actually integrate this into what they're doing, and that's just absolutely not the case, because we had merchants who we were actually getting customers for, and we were showing that there was value there, and we just could not get them to go back online and actually tell us when they were slow. And it's just because they're so busy. Spending a couple of days with restaurateurs and understanding how busy their day is and how many things they're managing, it seems obvious now in retrospect when we think about that, but we we had to automate that process. We had to figure out for them when they'd be slow. Otherwise, we just wouldn't be able to get them to use it on an ongoing basis.
So your original idea was then to allow them to just notify you when you were slow, kind of thing. Say we're slow
Exactly.
now, go.
Yep.
And now you have to basically you have to number crunch and automatically know when they're slow. Is that the
That's
difference?
Right. That's the main reason. The second difference is really just about distribution. So, we thought we would be helping push out these discounts across a whole variety of different channels. So everything from AdWords to Facebook ads and all the way down to mobile. And, the more we worked through and the more experiments we ran and the more we learned about the space, the more we decided that doubling down on mobile made sense and that mobile was really the way to get consumers in the door on a real-time basis.
And that's the key here, right? Is that, I mean, mobile is such a massive enabler. I mean, what were you looking at before mobile? Was it enticements through web offers, through email, or was there always a mobile, but you just realized how, as you went through this process, how important it is?
Yeah, I mean, we thought we would just be completely channel agnostic and we would integrate and push it out across everything. We thought, it was a game of numbers. The further we could push it out the fastest, the better it would end up working out for our merchants. But the thing about, I mean, just like web as an example, right? Most of the geo-targeting there is happening at an IP level, which is incredibly inaccurate. And even when it's accurate, it's, it's a pretty big radius. And that's just, for a small restaurant, and it just is not helpful to get someone 17 miles away. And so that was the one barrier. The second barrier is that web marketing is incredibly expensive. It is competitive and it's mature, and to get impressions there is not easy. And so, and then the third barrier is that inherently when you go out and market to someone who's at their computer, they're sitting down and they're doing something on their computer, and it's a lot harder to get them to go from there all the way into a retail location. So mobile actually solves all of these things because it's hyperlocation aware. It's not as competitive, and there's just so many impressions available, and that someone on their phone is either on the go or about to be on the go. So it's a really nice match for what we're trying to do.
I couldn't have said it better. I guess the real challenge is that that when you start to think about the logic of local, in retrospect, it makes a lot of sense, and combining local and mobile and merchants. How do you get past that buffer, which is, I can do this with Foursquare, or I can do this, Groupon's a completely different world. We don't even talk about it. But Groupon now, we'll say, or Social Instant, or Living Social Instant. These are starting to play in that space. But how do you get over that to say, listen, no, you need a little bit more of a sophisticated tool on the back end, but a one button activation on the front end. How do you? Is it just that easy a sales pitch?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to two core values that we bring merchants. The first is simplicity. And I talked about this earlier, but really it's about the fact that all of the technology that we're building is all about simplifying and automating the process. And so that's a really key differentiator from any other solution in the market, and merchants really gravitate towards it. And then the second is having access to more impressions than anyone else is a really key benefit because it lets us be a lot more just add a lot more optimization to what we're doing and drive more customers at a lower rate. And ultimately, that's just an ROI calculation that we make really easy for merchants.
Okay, so why don't you walk us through this process? You've been doing this for 2 weeks, launched beta before that. What's a typical engagement for you guys in 90 days? And what do you hope to see, or what have your merchants been seeing?
Yeah, so it really comes down to a merchant signs up and gives us this bit of information. We activate them, and then we start pulling data and information from across the web to figure out how busy or slow this merchant is. And the merchants, when they sign up, they give us some indication, and we use that as a baseline. And then as we see their days go by, we start creating these mobile marketing campaigns for them and pushing them to mobile consumers in their area. And people start going in, and we're tracking everything, and we're sending them nightly reports, giving them a really clear explanation of how many people saw their ads, how many people clicked on them, how many people actually came in. And we are essentially every person that we're sending in is an incremental customer. So developing an ROI or understanding both mathematically, but also just anecdotally, is really easy here for the merchants that what we're doing really drives customers, really resonates with them, and it's just, I mean, and they get they get an understanding of the CX of how easy it is to use our platform. So the response has been very, very positive.
So you said that the value that you also bring is also the distribution through the mobile channels, right? So how do you you push it out through obviously some partners, but how complex a solution is that? Where I'm within proximity, or do I have to be in proximity to the store that the merchant, or I mean, what's that magic area that draws people in, and then how do you fluctuate the discount? I mean, I've read some reports that people will come, up to 2 hours. They'll travel 2 hours for up to a 40% discount, and so how do you? Obviously, that gets mashed in there, and then all of a sudden, I get a little coupon or a little notification or something tweaks my interest to drive into that store. How is it as a consumer I get notified?
Yeah, from a consumer perspective, it's incredibly easy. We'll find you.
We'll hunt you down. Right?
That's pretty much that's pretty much it. You don't have to download anything new. You don't have to change your behavior in any way. We'll work with the apps that you're already using and with take over mobile ads that you're already seeing. And so from a consumer perspective, it really is about a passive experience. You'll be doing what you're doing, and you'll see different mobile banner ads with different discounts that we're powering, or you'll be in an apps and there'll be some ad or some integrated experience. And there are some apps that like Geo Coupons that let you actually look for discounts and will show up there as well. So it's both a pull and a push type mechanism. Going back to something we were talking about before is, once we start talking about mobile, it becomes really obvious that this is a fantastic medium and channel for local businesses. What we're going to talk about are some of the challenges around mobile. And, the fact that we decided to double down on mobile wasn't just, oh, this is a great idea, let's go do this. It's an industry in its infancy. It's super different. I mean, it's fragmented. Most of the players are just not fully developed. They're integrating with them is a really big challenge. So, this has been one of the biggest challenges for us outside of merchant acquisition is how do we get access to all of these impressions, and how do we make sure that from a consumer perspective it's really easy and we're able to actually reach you. And we've been making a ton of headway there, and that's one of the more exciting things we're working on.
So, I mean, it begs the question: is how have you kind of consolidated all of this, or is that another one of your pieces of your secret sauce? Is that you've been able to bring all that in? Because you're right, mobile is the only way I've been describing it is you're building infrastructure, or you're building something on hot molten lava, right? Because it changes every second. Players change every second. Winners are winners one day and losers the next, and vilified or heroes one day and villains the next. So how do you keep up with this as a platform like this, that you can't show that to your merchants? They don't care. All they care about is driving traffic.
Yeah, I mean, it really is something we keep under the hood because the merchants don't care. But it's been a very interesting BD challenge, and what we bring to the table is the fact that we've got some really high converting offers that, if you throw them in as an ad, you're going to see a really high CTR, which means that the eCPM goes up. And so, what we're building on the merchant side is really attractive to people on the distribution side. And so the more we're able to build our solution for merchants, the easier it becomes to actually continue to grow out the distribution. And that's what we've seen. And that's been one of the more exciting pieces of what we're doing, is that it all sort of feeds on each other.
Do you have numbers? Like, do you have generalization? I know you're so early in the deployment, but I mean, do you have a kind of an idea of what you're seeing through the beta program about return or engagement, or any kind of metrics or statistics that you guys are doing?
Yeah, so we definitely do. I mean, we're tracking everything. It's an entire funnel that we're looking at, and we're also understanding things like, what day of the week is easier to get a customer to convert, Monday or Tuesday? It's 12 o'clock easier than 1 o'clock. Is a 20% discount better than a 30% discount? And we're also obviously looking at cross channels and across merchants. So, yeah, I mean, what I can tell you is people are very happy using our system, and the more impressions we can get, the more impressions we will be buying, because we cannot. I mean, that's one of the really exciting things about what we're doing, is that merchants are essentially buying a lot of impressions. And the biggest challenge we have now is how do we keep getting more and more access to these impressions? And that's why, we keep going out and trying to work with more and more mobile ad networks.
So, I mean, that's obviously got to be the big value, is that you work with all the ad networks. And we love that. Like, from a developer advocate perspective, I love companies that are able to, mobile development or software development companies for mobile devices that are actually allowed to make, or able to go out and make some money off of this. So by doing highly targeted ads, and ones that convert at a high level, and convert very quickly, certainly benefit the ad network, they benefit the store, they also benefit the developer who has integrated that ad into their application. So it seems to be like a great value all along the chain. And then you guys have the clout ultimately, where you're going to get the great placement, and you're going to work with some of the best ad networks as yours convert the highest, right?
That's right.
That's the value?
Yeah.
What about, do you guys work with on the creative around the ads? How do you manage that whole scene as well? Because if I'm a merchant, I'm handing this to you, aren't I? I'm not doing any banner ad design. I'm not doing any mobile ad design. So do you guys handle that as well?
We do, and it's very much a templatized process that's enhanced by the fact that there's just so much information available online. So you can pull information from so many different sources to create really, really compelling banner ads, and also just coupon experiences around the stores without the stores actually needing to lift a finger. So and that's something that's pretty new in our ability to be able to do that.
Well, okay, so how long does it take for a store to get up and running then? Like, when you walk in, you convince a store that says, listen, this is, here's your 90-day trial, we're going to show you. And how long does it take for them to get up and running?
Oh, it's about 5 minutes. Probably the longest, the longest piece is actually having us verify, because, there's a problem where we don't want you, for instance, and I'm just using you as an example, creating a discount on behalf. Creating a discount on behalf of your local restaurant. So there's a verification process in there where we actually get in touch with the business and make sure it's them. And that's probably the longest. I mean, that's the bottleneck, because signing up itself takes less than 5 minutes.
And then they manage it by just saying, listen, they feed you all that information, and then your algorithms, it's your math that says, listen, we know that when it's 72 degrees on a Sunday afternoon, a sunny Sunday afternoon, you're not going to drive the foot traffic on an indoor restaurant without a patio, so we're going to entice people that way. And you just build up that algorithm that kind of spits this out, and it says, okay, and that deserves a 15% discount or a buy one get one free kind of thing. That's literally how it works?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the more we're out in the market, the more data we're accumulating, and the better we're going to keep getting. It's
pretty amazing. It's like the baseball stats, right? I'm a baseball fan, so it's every single stat that you can possibly imagine. They've got 100 years of statistics that says this batter on a 1-2 pitch on a 74-degree day with a 9-mile-an-hour wind at Wrigley Field on grass with this pitcher hitting a curveball when the shadows are at 4 o'clock. They can predict ultimately. That's where you want to get to with this, isn't it?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So how refined do you have to be? I always worry about over discounts, right? That's a challenge. Everybody went nuts with Foursquare check-ins and Groupon and all that stuff. It's like you're giving away your entire company for what? Losing money on every customer. So how, are people a little hesitant today about over couponing, over discounting?
So definitely, there's huge concern around that. And so one of the things we let merchants do is give us parameters and thresholds. So they give us a maximum discount, and they also give us a minimum discount. And what we're doing is we're basically throttling between the two discounts based on their capacity. So they do have the control to tell us never go above a 50% discount.
Okay. All right. Well, and that's always good. You never want to go up above a 50% discount anyways. At some point, a customer costs too much, and you don't want to give them. It's one thing to bring them in and make a little bit of money, bring them in, I guess, and create a customer for life or a second visit. But it's another thing to bring them in one-off and then never have them come back, which I think is what Groupon really does exceptionally well. Come into the store, I'll give you my 50%, and then I'll never see you again. Thank you very much for robbing me, ultimately.
No.
No comment. You don't have to comment on
No
that.
comment.
Groupon can be a great partner. It's just not a real business, in my opinion. But so I got one question here, and to finish it off. This is a personal question: is how do you go from Amazon running video services into this space?
Yeah, so it's not that far-fetched. Really, digital video is all about technology. It's all about cutting-edge technology and taking an industry that's been doing things a certain way and doing it a completely new way through technology. And that's really what we're doing here. And local is something that's been near and dear to my heart. Before going to business school, I started a company that I was essentially creating a recruiting solution for the low-wage labor market, the busboys, dishwashers, basically the same guys that these local businesses were hiring. And so I got to see how their business operated. And the reason why I wanted to get into this space specifically is because every time I went into a small business and I said, hey, I'll make it easier for you to hire, they told me, well, hiring is very important, but getting customers in the door at the right time is even more important. And I wanted to solve the more important pain point.
So, well, it makes absolute sense. I mean, you were rated, what I'm reading here, the 21st coolest young entrepreneur by Inc. magazine. So, I mean, you've had the experience to do this, and obviously you've got a passion for here. You raised a little bit of money, $1 million, $1.2 million or something around that range.
1.6, yeah.
$1.6 million. I mean, how do you turn this into revenue? Is this a subscription based, or is this a one-time fee, or is it a per conversion? How are you making money off of this?
Yeah, it all comes back to our philosophy of making things really simple and profitable for businesses. So we don't take a cut of each transaction. It's a monthly $99 fee, and it keeps it really simple and really easy. And that's all we take.
And I mean, I love that, the simplicity of that. And you can obviously scale at $100 a month?
We think so.
Yeah. Well, that's the hope, right? And what about competition? Are you worried about other guys getting into this space, or do you have enough juice or mojo or magic potion to be able to that you've got a good running start?
We think we have a good running start, but obviously competition is something that will force us to innovate faster and keep making progress. And so, fortunately, we've got enough competition in the marketplace that we're going to keep running fast.
That's right. I love it. The best thing about new industries is when everybody converges on it. It's like a massive sprint, isn't it? There's no laziness allowed right now at all.
No, none.
So Eli, what am I not asking you that's important for you to get out?
How to sign up. Go to ThinkNear.com.
There you go. Oh yeah, ThinkNear.com. That was my next question. Go to ThinkNear. It's got a great demonstration of the video, or video demonstration about how the service operates. Is there the pricing is there, how it works, everything like that, and then it's got an ability for you to, as a developer, can you integrate this? Is this going to be an open API? How do you? Is that part of the plan?
Yeah, it already is. So if you go on ThinkNear.com, we've got API documentation. You can ask us for some keys, and if you've got a mobile app, if you've got a mobile ad network, we'd love for you to integrate and pull our discounts and make more money.
Oh, this is great. Eli, I wish I had more time with you, man, because I love what you're doing. I think that this is finally one of those things that that takes in proximity, weather, distance, your proclivity to buying at that moment. Yesterday, I was at an event, and it was pouring rain, and anybody pushing me an opportunity to buy an umbrella, I would have done it. We were desperate for one, and I couldn't find one. So that's what I think that these services are great, is that it's like if you follow the New York City vendors, they could be selling cassettes one moment, one drop of rain, it's like they spin it, and it's all umbrellas, right? And that's exactly, you want to capture that and bring people into businesses. So go to ThinkNear.com. For more information. As I said, all the information is there. And Eli, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Well, it was a lot of information packed into one thing. I've been speaking with Eli Portnoy, who is the CEO and founder of a company called ThinkNear. Head over there. A big fan of what these guys are doing, and they're going to help you as a merchant drive more traffic during the times where there's nobody in your store. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. So take a look at ThinkNear and start engaging. Start driving people to the door by not giving away the farm. Eli, thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for watching and listening wherever you may be. This has been another episode of Untether.tv. See you later.